The year was 1944, and World War II was raging across the globe. While the great battles in Europe and the Pacific captured much of the world's attention, in the dense jungles of northeast India, a lesser-known but equally brutal campaign was unfolding. The Japanese army, in a bold and desperate move, launched an invasion into British-controlled India. The goal: to capture the city of Imphal and cut off Allied supply lines. What followed was one of the longest and bloodiest battles of the war in Southeast Asia. Imphal was a crucial Allied stronghold, strategically positioned in the rugged hills near the Burmese border. The city and its surrounding jungles became a maze of trenches, hidden bunkers, and dense undergrowth that swallowed both soldiers and secrets. It was here, amidst the relentless fighting, that soldiers on both sides began to whisper about strange occurrences, sightings and sounds that defied explanation. As the battle dragged on through the hot, monsoon-drenched summer, the soldiers entrenched in the jungles surrounding Imphal began to report seeing mysterious lights. It started as faint glimmers in the night, small, flickering orbs that seemed to float above the treetops, moving in patterns too precise to be natural. They would appear suddenly, often in the dead of night, when the jungle was thick with darkness and tension. At first, these lights were dismissed as nothing more than fireflies or reflections of moonlight on the mist. But as sightings grew more frequent, a creeping unease settled over the troops. The lights were not behaving like anything the soldiers had seen before. They darted between the trees, sometimes hovering above the battlefield as if observing the carnage below. Patrols sent to investigate would return empty-handed, reporting only eerie silence and an overwhelming sense of dread. The lights weren't confined to one side of the conflict. Both Japanese and Allied soldiers claimed to have seen them. In some instances, men who had been on the brink of engaging in a firefight would freeze, captivated by the ghostly glow illuminating the jungle canopy. And then, just as mysteriously as they had appeared, the lights would vanish. Soon, the stories grew even stranger. There were reports from Allied units of soldiers who had gone missing in the dense jungle, only to reappear days later in a disoriented state. These men claimed they had been guided by the lights when they were lost, ethereal beacons that led them back to safety. One British officer swore that after getting separated from his platoon, he followed a single blue light that hovered just ahead of him for miles, until he stumbled back into friendly territory. He couldn't explain what it was, only that it had saved his life. Japanese soldiers had similar accounts, though theirs were tinged with fear rather than gratitude. Some claimed that the lights were the spirits of the dead, souls of those who had perished in the jungle, both Allied and Japanese, now wandering the battlefield in search of peace. Others believed the lights were omens of impending death, and men who saw them would often refuse to leave their bunkers for days, terrified that they had been marked by the supernatural. One of the most unsettling incidents involving the phantom lights occurred during a crucial Japanese night assault on an Allied position in early April 1944. The attack was planned meticulously, with Japanese troops moving silently through the jungle, intent on taking the British by surprise. But as they neared the defensive lines, the strange lights appeared again, this time in greater numbers than ever before. According to accounts from both sides, the lights did not simply hover or flit around aimlessly. They moved with purpose, illuminating the jungle path ahead of the advancing Japanese troops.